Hey friends, Ash here, Gents. How you doing? Hopefully you're doing well. Today we're going to be taking a look at this Amouage Overture Man. I've had this fragrance for a while and I figured let's go ahead and do a video on it. Let's do a review, get it out there. One thing to keep in mind with this fragrance though, it's not really the easiest Amouage fragrance to get in the US. You can find this at Harrods for $308 and a pretty hefty shipping charge. And really most places that you can find this is gonna be right at that price tag, $308. On rare occasion, it will pop up at discounters, but as of when I'm filming this, not available anywhere that I can find, at least discounter wise. In this video, I'm gonna break this fragrance down for you guys, let you know what I think about it. We'll also take a look at that presentation like always. So let's jump into it. Let's go ahead and start this off with the presentation like always. This one's slightly different from most Amouage fragrances for men. Most of them have either the type of box where you lift and then there's a little pedestal with the bottle sitting down inside of it, or they're like the Beach Hut Man boxes where it's kind of split in the middle and it lifts up like so. This one has a little flap that opens up like this. The bottle sits right in here and it is magnetically closed or sealed. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at this box. I really like the way it looks. It's simple, but it looks smart. It looks good, looks modern. So you have this wood grain pattern that goes all the way around. And it's really interesting because as you move it, which I'm sure you can see on the camera here, when the light catches it, it gives these kind of interesting reflections. The front of the box, pretty simple other than that. Name of the house, name of the fragrance. On the back, you have again, name of the house, name of the fragrance, size and concentration, 100 mils Eau de Parfum. Your badge code is down here. It's printed in ink, so pretty hard for you to make out on the camera here. It is right there, so there's your badge code. So that code is 1664807. And here we have the bottle. It's a good looking bottle, I really like it. It's got this frosted glass appearance to it. And then the coloration of the fragrance on the inside is gonna remind you of things like cognac, brandy, whiskey, or rum. So it's really nice. You have this warm coloration of the liquid kind of juxtaposed up against this frosted glass appearance. Then you've got the name of the house, name of the fragrance right there on the front. You've got the Amouage seal. The cap, as always, is magnetic, or as always nowadays. Back in the day, they weren't magnetic, but if you buy them now, they will be. This fragrance has always had a magnetic cap. We shouldn't go down that rabbit hole, so let's just leave it right there. You've got a nice crystal here at the top of the cap, and then a little information on the bottom of your bottle. And I'll go ahead and waste a spray for you guys. Atomizer is the same as pretty much all the Amouage fragrances. Here we go. Overture is a fragrance that when it was first announced, I was super excited for, but I didn't get it right away. I actually didn't get this until maybe halfway through last year. So I put it off for quite a while, picking this up. And frankly, I put it off for too long. This smells so good in the opening. I love it. It's smoky, it's spicy, it's resinous. So you get these puffs of smoke, but it's never overwhelming. It's not like the opening of Interlude, where some people might say that, you know, the opening is gonna turn lots of people away. Not the case here. The incense in here kind of comes in and out, so you pick up wafts of it, but it's never super aggressive. It's never overwhelming. You've also got a good amount of spiciness, like I said before. You've got cardamom in here, you've got cumin in here, you've got saffron in here, all right off the bat. It's very rich, very deep, and the quality is apparent as soon as you spray it on. Amazing opening. You've also got a boozy cognac in here, which kind of swirls around with the other notes, swirls around with that smoke. It gives you, at times, a light fruitiness from the cognac accord, so you'll pick up just little hints of what smells like fruit from that cognac, but it's never, ever what I would consider a fruity fragrance, and that fruit in here really just kind of wafts with that cognac. As it heads through the mid, resins become more prominent. Myrrh, labdanum, benzoin all become more prominent through the mid, so it's gonna give you a little bit more of a resinous sweetness as this one starts to dry down. And the smokiness is still there through the dry down, but for me personally, it's actually not as prominent through the mid as it is in the opening, which is really interesting because if you look at the note breakdown or the note pyramid for this fragrance, incense that smokiness is actually a base note. But for me, I pick it up more initially, and then as it dries down into the mid, it tapers off a little bit as the resins ramp up. In the dry down, sandalwood actually becomes a prominent part of this fragrance. It becomes a woodier scent. But interestingly enough, the sandalwood in here doesn't come across how you would normally expect sandalwood to come across. So it doesn't have that creamy facet. It doesn't have any sort of milky facet to it. More so, it just smells like a woody blend in the base. Not really sandalwood specifically, just woodsy. And Overture also has an animalic note in it. Specifically just animalic note, just to let you know that they put a little bit of funk in there for you. But for me, it's actually a little more animalic in the opening than it is in the base. The opening really is shot out of a cannon. Again, to me, smells fantastic, smells amazing, but it's all this stuff happening in that opening. And some people could consider parts of that opening maybe a little bit animalic. Again, there's some cumin in there, you know, in that spicy blend. So some people could pick that up and say, oh, it's a little animalic, you know, maybe a little bit funky to me in the opening. But really for me in the dry down, it's more so about some resinous sweetness, woods, a little bit of incense from the opening that's carried over into the dry down, and some spilt cognac. That's pretty much what it is in the base and in the dry down. It's not really animalic, it's not really aggressive, it's not really potentially off-putting at all. In my opinion, the best part of this fragrance is the opening. Like I said, shot out of a cannon. You've got these deep bellows of spice and smoke and resins and that cognac, all these things happening at once, and it's done so well. It smells fantastic. The coloration of the fragrance here, perfect. I like the opening the most here, but some people are gonna disagree with me and are gonna say that the dry down is better. Some people are going to think that the opening has too much going on, you know, too strong, just too much. And in the dry down, when you get that resinous sweetness that comes in, those woods, everything kind of gets smoothed out. They're going to view that as a better fragrance than in the opening, when it's just really jumping all over. I personally like that aggressive opening, love it actually. So for me, that's the best part. But if you don't like fragrances that really do just come at you right away and say, hey, check out all this, then you may not like that part as much. This is one of the best newer releases that Amouage has done. This fragrance right here can go toe to toe with most of the heavy hitters that Amouage released years back, in my opinion. You can put this right up against some of the best fragrances Amouage has ever done. It's fantastic all the way through. The quality is apparent right away. This is an absolute stunner for cold weather. Right now in January, this is perfect. This fragrance is so warm, so rich, just cuts right through the cold. This one, fantastic all the way through. Before getting this one, I actually thought it was gonna be more cognac forward. I really thought it was gonna be mainly cognac and then other little supporting notes, and it was gonna have this boozy, syrupy sweetness. That's not what this is. The cognac is there, for sure, but it's so much more than just a cognac scent. Obviously, season-wise, fall and winter, emphasis on winter. As far as daytime or nighttime use, for me, leans more nighttime than daytime. It is not what I would immediately think of as an office fragrance because it does have that aggressive opening. I don't think that it's as off-putting as fragrances like Interlude potentially are, like I said earlier, but it is going to be aggressive, especially for people who are not used to or accustomed to niche fragrances. But realistically, if you buy this fragrance and you wear fragrances from Amouage, you're gonna know when and where to use it. For me, again, cold weather, casual situations with friends, and formal situations potentially, and possibly nights out. Age range wise, realistically, looking at 30s and up. I don't think teenagers are really gonna appreciate this one. People in their 20s, unless they're really into fragrances of this sort, of this type, they probably wouldn't really appreciate it as much either. So goes without saying, Amouage Overture for me, yeah, this is fantastic. 2 huge thumbs up. This one, just great. Like I said before, didn't have this until about halfway through 2020. Realistically, should have got it much earlier than that because this is one of them washes best. If you've smelled this fragrance, let me know in the comments below what you think about it and where you would put this one personally in the hierarchy of Amouage fragrances for men. As always, thanks for hanging out with me today. Thanks for all your support. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you tomorrow with another fragrance video.